Hey everyone, Sam here from Planes on the Prairie, and today behind me we have a very special airplane. This is a Spartan 7W Executive. The Executive, or a lot of people just call it the Spartan, was a high-speed executive transport back in the Great Depression, and it was produced from 1936 until 1940, and only about 34 were built in production, and an additional 2 prototypes. The problem with the Spartan was it was a beautiful airplane, great design, but just the wrong time. The Great Depression, there was no market really for civilian buyers, unless they were people like oil tycoons, which this one specifically was bought by an oil tycoon. But a lot of rich people own these, and but a good news is a lot of these are still around flying. They're beautiful aircraft known for the very shiny appearance it has, and this aircraft, again, like I said, was an executive transport or cabin aircraft, which means it's kind of like the private jet of its day. If you think about Cessna Citations and Learjets, this is what they had in the 30s and 40s. And they typically had 4 to 5 passenger seats in addition to the pilot seat, so they could hold just a few people, but they were fitted with more comfortable seats, like deeper cushions, armrests, ashtrays back in the day when ashtrays were considered a good idea on an airplane. And they're basically built for comfort and speed to get to your destination fast. So we'll walk around in this aircraft, talk about the specific history, and hopefully in a couple weeks, when this thing unfortunately departs the Air Museum, we'll be able to get some shots of that as well. The Spartan 7W Executives were powered by a Pratt & Whitney R985 Wasp Junior engine, which is a 9-cylinder air-cooled radial engine that produces 450 horsepower. These engines were also seen on aircraft such as the BT-13 and Grumman Eggcats that we will be covering in later videos, and among other trainering aircraft around the World War II era. So, very reliable engine, one of the earlier applications of this engine actually, and they drive the aircraft at a very high speed, so it really does its job. So the Spartan was primarily known for being a civilian transport aircraft, but a lot of them actually entered military service in the stock configuration, painted differently of course, but there was one military prototype called the 7WF. So the normal Spartans were the 7Ws, but with the 7WF it was modified to where they had 2 30 caliber machine guns that would fire through the propeller arc with a synchronizing system, and they were mounted on the cowling there, and there's also an additional machine gun spot back in the rear of the cabin for a dorsal firing position. So this thing had 3 30 cal machine guns, and then additionally they were mounting bomb racks underneath the wings on both sides. So this thing was designed to be a possible light attack aircraft, but the military wasn't too interested. Again, it was peacetime, so that there wasn't a lot of momentum for that. So that aircraft was actually reverted back to a stock design, and then a lady named Arlene Davis, an air racer, actually flew it at the 1939 Bendix Air Races, and the aircraft got around 190 miles an hour, pretty fast for the day and age. And the Bendix Air Races are a cool thing. It's probably could be easily a podcast idea for us in the future. And so yeah, the military did use these. There's a database that I'll put the link to in the description where I got a lot of this information, and you'll be able to see it. You'll note that there's numbers within, or aircraft serial numbers within this database for that. Alright, so now we'll talk a little bit about the specific history of this Spartan. This Spartan is 7W22. The 22 is signifying which specific Spartan it is. There's a 22nd Spartan made out of that 36 total, 34 production, and this one originally was sold directly to Standard Oil of Ohio, which Standard Oil dissolved in the 1910s, somewhere in that area, and basically broke up into a ton of oil companies that we know today, like Chevron and other companies like that. This one was Sohio, which also sponsored an air racer called Race 57, a Super Corsair, which those of you from the Fargo-Moorhead area may be a little bit familiar with from about a decade ago. And Sohio, eventually Standard Oil of Ohio, eventually became BP, and that's what it's a subsidiary of BP nowadays. So this one was under that company as an executive transport for many years, and then was sold to a owner in California, in Hawthorne, California, where this thing in 1974 unfortunately suffered an engine failure and a crash that resulted in a fire, but was restored by the same owners and is now owned by a man named Edgar Newberg in Hector, Minnesota, which is in southern Minnesota, where we will be covering a kebab at some point there too. And now that the aircraft has been here for a couple years and will be on its way out. So be sure to stop by the Air Museum at some point in the next couple weeks to see it before it goes, or maybe when it goes. We'll put a plug out on the podcast or on the podcast YouTube channel, Facebook posts, Instagram story, or whatever. However we can get the information out to you, we will give that out to you on when it possibly will be leaving. So be sure to keep an eye on that for posts. And this aircraft will actually be swapped out for another really cool aircraft. We're just going to save the surprise for you on that, but we're really excited to have that as well. So we thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That helps get our word out to everybody, and it's always awesome to share aircraft in the area. And if you have an aircraft that you're willing to share with us, be sure to let us know, and we'd be happy to do that. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.